things. So hello, everybody, and welcome. I'm Renata, the founder of Rekonnekt, and it means a lot to have you here today. Get Jackson to jump on. So Rekonnekt is a community of high-performance people, founders, executives, investors, business leaders, and curious minds who want to grow, learn, move, and become better in every season of life. We connect through movement, growth, and real human stories. These conversations are a space for reflection and inspiration, a moment where we bring our experiences together and learn from them. So we get together across Europe in our live experiences. We actually just had one in France last week. I shared the video with you in the chat. Take a look, because if you haven't been to one yet, this is your goal for this year, next, or the next, a lot of years ahead of us. And the Fireside Chats is a way to keep us connected in between these events and keeps the conversation alive. So thank you so much for your trust and for walking this journey with us. This means a lot for me, for Rekonnekt, for everything that we are building. So today, this conversation today is something that is exciting me a lot, because I was thinking during the whole last year, we had a lot of inspirational conversations. Inspirations move you until it doesn't. It's like a match, right? You put it on and then it burns, finishes, and off we go. So I was thinking, how can this year we move inspiration into action? And this is where the mastermind comes in place. So the intention to creating the mastermind was for us to actually help in real time somebody that is part of our community. There is a founder, entrepreneur, has a business, or not even needs to have a business. If you're working somewhere, if you have a challenge, if you are in a leadership role, you need some advice, some people to help you to think that are not in your circle, and it's a safe space. This is the place to be. So our first mastermind is going to be with our legend here, Bertrand Le Foulgoc. Did I say your Foulgoc? It's a difficult one to spell.
It is difficult. And yeah, it is a trap. You have to be careful how you pronounce it.
It's a trap. I know it's a trap. It's a trap, this last name. Huh? I stopped in the middle. I noticed that. So, so Bertrand, he actually joined Rekonnekt last year with a purpose to find community, to understand where he was with his business, because it's very hard. Sometimes we start a business, we are founder, but our friends, right, and the people around us, not necessarily are the ones that are going to be pushing us forward. We need to be around a community, surrounded of people that are like-minded with us and have the same type of values and goals, so they can help us push forward. So I thought that Bertrand would be the perfect first mastermind person to be here so he can share his business. So I had shared the PDF with his business before, although this is how this fireside chat is going to work. So Bertrand is going to introduce himself now, and he's going to pitch his business. He's going to talk about what his business is all about for around 10 minutes, 8 to 10 minutes. And then we are going to open the floor for questions and for people to bounce over what he just pitched us. So it's like a Shark Tank kind of thing. So what I would ask you is just to put your hands up into the chat so we can have the couple of orders. And of course, as we start to ask the questions and he responds, we start to bounce. Always use the chat. If you have to have any questions, I can stop and then I can go back. But let's use the hands up from the chat there so we can keep things in an order. And then after we finish this, I will create a group, a subgroup into our Rekonnekt community, which we're going to be called Mastermind. I'm going to put everybody that is in this call in that group so we can keep Bertrand accountable. And I'm very confident that we will need a follow-up mastermind with him so we can see the action that he took after we had this conversation. So Bertrand, this is everything for me. I'm going to put you here on the spotlight. Emma has just started. I'm just going to share with Emma here very quickly about the hands up. Emma, good morning. Can you hear me? Is she there? Let me put here Bertrand on the spotlight.
You can't hear her?
I'm not, I can't get in.
No, you can. She's there. Bertrand, I'm going to put you on the spotlight, and off we go. So the time is up. No, I'm just joking. You can go talk about yourself, introduce yourself, give some background. Actually, Bertrand also been in Australia for 14 years, and share about your business, and let's go.
Let's go. Okay. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm looking forward to your questions. So my name is Bertrand Le Foulgoc. I am from Brittany in France. I grew up there in a farm with lots of animals, etc. So I've got a very empathic relationship with any living being, including humans, and I've always loved social interactions. That's why I went into software engineering. Yeah, it's not a perfect match, but it took me years to realize that. But I after 4 years of consulting in France, I lived with my wife to Australia in Melbourne, where for 10 years I worked, and I had a blast, because over there, people are very friendly, very open. You can talk to anyone. It's just super nice. Like you can make friends everywhere, and that's the feeling I got. And then we got our second daughter, and we left for Switzerland because my wife said, "Oh, I've had enough of Australia. It's too far. There's too many cars." It's true that in Melbourne, it's very busy. And our friends keep coming and going, which is a fact. In Melbourne, it's very international, so people come and go. So we arrived in Switzerland, and wow, that was hard. Finding a job was hard, and finding friends is still very hard. And I would go out with friends, with people I know, and we're all super busy today. Everybody, I mean, you can feel it. We're all running in the hamster wheel, right? We don't have time to meet strangers. We don't have time even to catch up with friends. So I'd go out alone because I like meeting people. But as you can expect, or maybe you don't, but in Switzerland, especially in the French part, people are very distant. So I'd go to a place and start talking to people, and they would look at me weird, like, what does this guy want? What does he want? If I talk to a guy, they're like, okay, is he going to ask me for money, for something? Like, not all the time, but a lot of the times. And if I talk to a woman, she's like, oh, this guy is actually after my pants or something. And so it's really hard to make friends. And I was like, damn. But I would keep going. I'd get bumped once for a group and twice, 3 times, but I'd get very interesting conversations eventually. And so that's when I thought it would be good to go to a place and know who is open to discuss with strangers, to talk about a subject. And so with two of my co-founders who are in Australia, in Melbourne, we thought, hey, it would be cool to create this app where, you go somewhere and you say, hey, this is what I want to talk about. And then you share subjects. And if you match, you can meet one another. But it's really hard in practice to put in practice. And we thought, okay, let's pivot to events then. You go to an event, and then, if multiple people go to the same event and they want to meet people, then you find a way to connect them. And so this is where we connected Hike. I did some street marketing, a lot of it, because I thought, okay, maybe it's just me. Maybe I cannot connect to people. I thought I was pretty good at this, but maybe actually I suck. Maybe it's because I'm older. Maybe it's because, I'm the typical alpha male scary person. Like I'm like 6'1", 45, white man, like the scary guy that you meet in the street. And actually I noticed, when you cross a woman, even if you just smile, she would just shy away, which didn't happen as much in Australia. And so I went and did a lot of research to find out, okay, what is going on? What is it? And I found out that, yeah, women feel very threatened. And it's not easy talking to women, and it's not easy talking to men. And we're very connected digitally, right? We're always on our phones. So people are on their phones, so it's really hard to talk to them. So there's actually a lack of social diversity as well. So there's a real problem, actually. I've met lots of people who said, oh, yeah, I want an app to help me make friends, not to date, not to do anything else. And also when I want to go out and I don't know what's around. So I'm trying to find out what is around. It's hard. I want to go with my friends, but they're not available. So that's the idea behind Hike. We want to meet people in the real world around events. So we're trying to make getting out there fun, as I said. So I presented myself. Karel and Nathan are my two co-founders. Very friendly, people. I met Karel when I worked in Australia. We worked together in realestate.com.au for years, and we clicked straight away. So we get along really well. And Nathan is a good friend of Karel that he introduced to me. And so we started and create this. So as I said, the problem is when you go out, you don't really know where to go. So for example, we've got a couple who just finished their dinner. They want to go out. They don't know where to go. This guy, Julian, but it could be me really, just arrived in town and a single parent. You're trying to meet people. And if you're in Switzerland, it's not that easy, They say people are superficial in other countries and deeper in Switzerland. But I do believe that you need to reach superficial first before you go deep, right? If there's not even superficial, then there's nothing. So the solution is this. You go out, you say, okay, I pull out my application. I say, okay, what is around? What's around? And they can see, that there's events around where they are. They click on it, they see what it is, and they want to go, they can just go. Another example is a girl who wants to go to a conference, for example, and she doesn't know what's around. She finds a really cool conference. She wants to share it with some friends so that they can go together. And so she finds it on Hike, and then she shares it. Julian is very lucky because Bertrand is organizing outings every week where, we go from park to park between single parents with kids. I'm not a single parent, but still, I could organize this. This is just an example. And in fact, actually, I met a woman who told me exactly this. She said, I would use it and I would create this type of event because I cannot connect with people. I've got my 6-year-old daughter. I'm not interested in going out anymore, and meeting people is super hard, but I would organize this type of events. And I said, oh, that's super great. So in this example, Julian found a group and he can just go and meet other parents and discuss. Renata is passionate about Thai cooking and she wants to share it with people around her neighborhood. So she just creates this event. And, people who come, they can donate if they want to participate, maybe to pay for the ingredients but it's open price. She doesn't make a price. She just loves to share cooking. And of course, people who are considerate would share just to pay for the ingredient. So you can see how with this app, we're also trying to reconnect small communities and to build around neighborhoods, to reconnect people. For an organizer, so it's super easy to create an event, etc. We get the map. I'm not going to bore you with this. And you can get performance analytics. At some point, we targeted councils. And in Switzerland, I got a bit of traction and then it stopped. Now it's the election, so everybody's too busy. But we've got a council around Geelong who's interested in the app. So that's really cool because we want to work with councils to have lots of events, right? The key here is when people get on the app, you want to have as many events as you can. So right now, what we wanted to do is work with councils so they would advertise their events there. But because they're not very active or responsive or they don't have that much time or incentive, in fact, to do this, except for that one council. And we're not giving up. We're going to try and get more and more. What we're using crawlers. We go around websites and we scrape and we find all the events that we can around an area and we put them into Hike. So we list them, right? We don't create. So we're ready. In fact, the app is nearly in production. We're in the final steps of submitting. And we were thinking, okay, how are we going to release this? Either we open it to everyone or we go and we try to build in a smarter way. If we open to everyone, we can't go back to a scarcity model where, we get people to get in. It's like a VIP list. You're not always in. You have to get invited. And so that's the model we're going for right now. If it doesn't work, of course, we'll open to people. But what we want to do is have conversation with strangers. The three of us, we're going to go out. And when we meet someone who's pretty cool, who would be interested in the app and would share with friends, then we give him a card like this and we say, all right, cool. We're opening only for 500 people per city. And we'd like you to use Hike because we think you'd be great for the community. We're trying to build a community of hikers, which means, people who are friendly, who are happy to connect with others, who are interested in other people's lives, who wants to discover things, who are open-minded, and we think you'd be great. And so once the person joins, he can share with all his friends. There's no longer necessarily a limit. Another hard limit we're putting is you cannot use the app if you don't have an event within 20 kilometers around you, because otherwise you just open the app, you go, meh, there's not much. Except if you want to organize events. So let's say, oh, I want to organize lots of events. I love it. This is a great idea. Then we'll let you use the app. And here I've got a presentation around the different functionalities. The app allows you to see a list of events. You got the map, obviously. Users can find events by interest. There's a bit of a natural language search. So here on the top, you can type. I actually tested it with my kids. All right, I wanted to bring them to Aquapark in Switzerland. It's closed today. Too bad. Find me an outdoor activity for 6 years old and above kids that I can go to. And it gives you little events. So it's pretty cool. The app is already helping me get around and find events. You got the essential information, QR code to share the event, etc., etc. And you can easily create a Stripe account, which then allows you to create events where people can donate to you. The money model is not going further than that at the moment. We do have the opportunity to promote an event. If you want to promote an event, then you can pay, and depending on the radius around which you're promoting it and how many days, then you pay a different price. But basically, that's the basic features. For the future, we're not too sure how the audience is going to want to go, which is why we've got a friends tab right now. Maybe you didn't see it because I'm scrolling quite fast because I can see I'm taking too much time. But where is it? Bear with me a second. Yeah, here you can see here you got explore, my events, because you can register to events, create your events. And you got friends section, in which one we're not too sure what we're going to put. Me, what I would love to put is you can keep up with your friends. So let's say you got lists of friends you have or friends you've met. And we've got automatic matching between events and friends based on the schedule. So let's say, oh, there's an opera going on this weekend, and you haven't gone with Cynthia. You haven't seen Cynthia for 3 weeks. How about you invite Cynthia to that opera? Hike knows that you both like operas. It would be a good way to catch up. So the idea would be to help you keep your social life active, because you know how it is. You think about, oh, I haven't met that friend in so long. I need to call him. But then you're back in your hamster wheel. You don't have time. So Hike would be a way to keep up with your friends as well more regularly, so that you can make sure you see them and go to cool events. So match between that. So I really want to have time for your questions. So I think I'm going to stop there, if that's okay. Yeah.
Bertrand, maybe just share with us here, what is the challenge that you're going through and where would you need help at the moment?
Yes. So the challenge we have with, as you've seen, is we're about to launch and we don't know exactly how we can release it so that it really works. We know it's going to be a bit of a grind, that we're going to have to go around and promote it, etc. We know we're going to have to do some advertising, but we're not too sure how to do the marketing. To be honest, I also created a channel on TikTok and on TikTok, on YouTube, and on Instagram. That's a major breakthrough for me, because when I see TikTok, I go, this is the devil. I'm never going there. There's so much bad stuff on there. And you see, when I see people in the bus, or I don't want to point out to youngsters, but a lot of people around 20, 30, they're just scrolling brain dead on TikTok. And sometimes I have a glimpse and what I see is just like scaring me. It's like, wow, really, you're watching that stuff? I know I shouldn't judge, but that's what I had in my mind. And so I thought, I gotta break out of this. And so I started creating little videos about going and meeting strangers, and I put it on TikTok. So yeah, we think maybe it's a way as well to gather a community around people who want to meet people, who are conscious that there is a social disconnection today and they want to fight it. So that's another way we try to market, but really that's the core of our issue. We're not too sure how to market and how to find our audience, right? How to sell the product. Is that clear enough?
Yeah.
Cool.
Bianca, go for it.
Unmute myself. Hi, Bertrand. Bianca, I've been in software, IT, software engineering for 30 odd years. So The irony of this is I was a coach at a hackathon about 6 months ago, and this was fundamentally their idea in order to solve a community problem. And why I tell you that is not because your idea is not original, it's that that's how they solved disconnection. And how we don't know where to find things to do and that sort of stuff. So I'd love to show this group one day what came of that. They went down a very different path. I love the app, great idea. I have a few questions. So your purpose, you've said, is two things, and that can often be confusing because that will dictate how you market this. One, to meet people and build connection, and two, events. Now, they're two quite separate things. You can meet people at events, but you can meet, and we know the internet's flooded with, you know, dating apps and those sort of apps and Facebook and etc. And then you have the event apps like Eventbrite, Meetup, Facebook, etc. type sort of scenario. I suppose my question is, what is the fundamental purpose? It can be both, but I sort of kept asking myself, which one is his actual core goal? Is it people connecting and meeting, or is it organizing events and providing a platform for that?
Yeah, great question, Bianca. Thank you. We actually had a very interesting discussion with my co-founder who asked exactly that question. And to me, it's meet people through events.
Okay.
Why is it this? Because if you're alone and you want to go somewhere and you want to meet someone, you're not guaranteed you're going to meet the people you want to meet, but at least you're guaranteed you're going to have a cool event to go to. So, and it's a mean to an end, right? And for me, that's exactly how I operate when I want to go out. I don't just go out to random bars, etc. Although sometimes I do, but I go to a place where there's a concert, or I go to a hike organized by people, and then I know I can meet people there. Meeting
There's your
people
tagline,
in
Bertrand. Meet people
the
through
tagline,
events.
sorry, is meeting people through events.
Through events, yeah. And that narrows that down. I absolutely love it. Renata, cut me off at any point because I've got lots of questions. Safety comes up for me. Obviously, everything from Uber to Facebook to meetups to whatever. How would you stop somebody, other than you stop them and you delete it, organizing a protest and ending up in violence, and then your app gets in the news because you organized a protest, you know, about, doesn't matter what that protest was. How do you keep it safe for people to meet people and keep the event safe so that you're not providing a platform for the wrong type of events?
Yeah, so you can flag events. So if there's an event that seems dodgy, you flag it.
Yeah.
And we thought about that too. And the reality is there's hardly any platform where you cannot create this type of events. In WhatsApp, you can create a protest. In Facebook, you can create. This risk is already present in all the other apps. And so we decided the flag should be good enough to cover for it. Now, maybe it's not, I don't know.
Yeah. And do you have an age limit? So it can be 18 over or any sort of level?
Yeah, it's 18 over for now. But we're kind of questioning it. I mean, why wouldn't teenagers be able to organize their own events? I mean,
yeah. I think as long as it's safe, why not? I think the risk is always you're putting the black hat on, is what if something goes wrong? And, you know, it's the old adage of, well, somebody got raped in an Uber, so Uber's liable, and what's wrong with Uber? And you'd be like, yeah, come on. It was just a platform in order for you to get, you know, to somewhere. Really interesting. And that's something to really think through. And I love that you can flag stuff, but being really mindful of that. Because I can think of a million reasons for this. Like, I'm a cyclist, as is many people on the call. Being able to organize a group ride, which is effectively an event, and being able to invite your friends to that, it's actually really difficult on Strava. It's difficult on WhatsApp. It's difficult on other platforms. This would be perfect. And that's really niche. You know, that could be a yachting event. That could be a run. That could be so many other things, opening up to that sport category. How do you think you go competing with your meetups, your Eventbrites, that sort of thing? I mean, they don't do very well at the location sort of stuff. They're very keen to do the RSVPs and they take your money. But how do you think you'll go competing against those well-established platforms?
I think it's a different need, as you said it. You know, I try to use Eventbrite. I try to use meetup for this, and it's hard. You have to pay straight away. The map sucks. The application is terrible.
Yeah.
It's we just hate the experience, and we want to build something that's a lot easier.
Yeah. And my only advice, final question or comment is, why limit the start? I think if you look at the growth of some of these type of apps, and I hope, and I wish you the very best, and this turns into something mega, why limit it at the start? It's almost like let it run, like put it out there. Yes, do the cards. Yes, talk to people, but let it run. I mean, do a pilot by all means, but let it run and see what happens, because the best thing that could happen to you is it goes viral and people use it everywhere, and they use it in your location, and then a friend shares it across the world to another location. But I'll let other people talk. Thank you. Good luck with it.
Yeah, thanks. That's a very good question. And to be honest, I really don't know. We are just worried that when it's free and anybody can get in, nobody's interested. Whereas if we create some scarcity, we've done some research around marketing, etc. And there's this guy that I really like. He's not perfect, but it's really interesting. He's called Alex Hormozy. I'm pretty sure you know him. And his take on it is that if you create scarcity, people will want to get in more than if anybody can get in and whatever. So that's what we think, but we could be totally wrong.
Yeah, but I assume your revenue model is based on quantity, which is having more events and getting people to pay for events. So you have to think about revenue model in mind at the beginning, which is you want quantity. So limiting it to scarcity, you don't have something completely unique. You have something that's a meld of unique things. So making it scarce makes it difficult for you to make revenue up front. And when do you need revenue more than anything? Up front. So
yeah, that's true.
Just thinking that through, what you need is quantity. So anyway, thank you, Renata. Thank you, Bertrand.
Thank you.
No,
yeah,
thank you, Bianca, for your insights. Very good. Paula, go for it.
Many thanks. Bertrand, sorry, nice to meet you. Paula, I'm in Australia. I would echo Bianca's point about exclusivity and get the numbers up front. If something's exclusive and it's the one-of-a-kind club, yeah, people will, the first 500 are special. But this isn't, to me, this doesn't sound like a special. So I would say get the numbers in. You also made a comment about how you could follow your friends. That also might have a stalking element to it. So are people able to see who's following what events they go to and that sort of thing, so they can blind someone from being able to see them just for safety reasons? There was another one you said. Oh, yes, the locations. If you're not within 20 kilometres or something, you couldn't use the app. What happens if I'm flying to Barcelona this weekend and I want to start thinking about, what can I do? The number of times I'll go and look at what's on in the city if I'm going there. So I would open it up. I would make it more fun. I'd actually deliberately line up a couple of friends to have hiking events. So, because one of your risks with this sort of tool might be people think events as in established events like a music or pub or something. What you want to get across to them is actually you mean like a hiking event or a walk event or something like that. So maybe get a couple of friends to set up some accounts so people can see history early, and hopefully that spark. What you're trying to do is think of a couple of different things that will spark interest. You only need one of them to go viral. Good luck.
Thanks.
I'm going to jump in and ask some questions. To me, the USP is still not clear. Like you've made kind of references to the other apps. So how is this app different to the other apps? Because is it another meetup? Is it another just kind of event platform? So that's kind of the first. I think you need a really, really key, precise, unique selling proposition for it. The revenue, I'm just going to kind of put a couple of questions in, like the revenue model. What is the revenue model? Because you mentioned at the beginning you're scraping events. So if you're scraping events, how are you raising revenue? And then you mentioned your previous work through REA Group. I Australian. I live in Madrid. I worked in commercial property for years for Colliers. We were very, very reliant on REA, and it used to shit us no terms when REA would have this elite listings. And each year they'd create kind of a new elite listing. So there was, your basic listing for your event, then there was elite, then there was a super elite, then there was a super, super elite. So I don't know if the revenue model is to get a listing, and then if you want to be top of the page, you pay more. But then when that kind of gets saturated, then you pay more to be even the top of the page. So the revenue model is, I'm interested to hear in that, and what is the value for the event. You spoke about in terms of exclusivity. I don't know the success of this, but I just remember Clubhouse. There was this social media platform Clubhouse a couple of years ago, which was 100% invitation only. I think it's still running. Again, I don't know what the USP there is or what it is, but it'd be interesting to see if you could get some analytics as to how effective that marketing strategy was to have a 100% invitation only app, and I believe it still is. The other one I was going to mention, unique selling proposition, like Airbnb now do experiences. So how is, again, this, like, I've booked a house, I know where I'm going now, I'm seeing the experience within that area, and I could be booking a house for work, I could be booking something for pleasure, but that's kind of got all of the experience as well. Safety, like Bianca said, is a big concern, and I think from a female audience, you really, really need to be able to have that targeted and have robust kind of answers to how you're going to deal with that. And your launch strategy, given your geographical base and where your founders are, I was interested to understand what you're thinking in terms of geographical launch, because obviously the kind of the easiest way to launch something is a guerrilla marketing strategy, and go all out in a couple of areas, but it's going to cost you, it depends how deep your pockets are. So, do you launch this in Australia and see how it goes, or do you launch this in sort of like what you can't launch it everywhere at once because you're just not going to have the money. So do you kind of have niche markets that you want to push it out and test it and see how it goes, and then that might make it easier in terms of events to kind of have more of a closed, these are the events that we're focusing on. So that's a bit of a brain dump from my side, but just kind of things that immediately when I looked at it, I thought of, okay, how is this going to work, but why? As a punter, as a consumer, why do I want this app versus the other apps that we've already mentioned?
Thank you. I'm glad I took notes.
Renata's recording, don't worry, you can watch.
Yeah, I think
No.
so. That's...
So for the USP being not clear, I get a lot of that. I get, but there's already this app that does this app that does that. To me, it's so clear that maybe I struggle to communicate it, or maybe it's because I'm delusional and it's not clear. But the USP for me is make friends, keep friends. That's it. We're all about go out there, make friends, and also keep friends, because you have friends today, and time flies, and you're not going out, you're not seeing them, you're not inviting them to your place because you need to clean it up every time, and it's annoying, you don't have the time, etc. So it's really this. It's today people are more lonely than ever, and it's another dating app that's going to save you. And I would even argue that you're not going to find. I mean, you got more chances of finding a person you're going to love and you're going to want to be spending your life with by starting being friends than by going straight away, okay, we want to date, because there's this double game, etc. So the USP is this: make friends, keep friends. I don't know if it rings or if it works, but that's it. The revenue model, it's from donations. So you make donations to events you go. We take a small percentage, we take 10%, and it is upping the listings. You're right that if we go the REA route, it can be annoying, but REA is making tons of money. We're not looking at making tons of money. We just want to be able to do what we love, which is connect people and see a world where people are not always on their phone, but get used to actually talk to one another. There's a coaching dimension that I would like to introduce, like you can become a social coach. So if you're a hiker and you're pretty good at making friends, etc., and you've got good reputation, which is a system we can introduce, and then you can become a coach. And I want to go out but I don't want to go out alone. Well, I can go out with a coach. Okay, and this coach has got reviews, etc. And for $50, he lives just around the corner. Let's go together to that event, and you show me how we talk to strangers, how we make friends, etc. So that's one of the ideas that I would like to go to as well from a revenue model perspective. So it's like the Uber of friends. You have these people, who seem to know exactly how to make friends, and you don't know how they do it, etc. They could be making money going out, and you could be learning how to make friends going out. So it could be a win-win. That's the revenue model. There's lots of different options, but the way we're going live right now is a percentage of donations and uplistings. From a safety perspective, yes. So we warn it when you register. There's, be careful where you're going. Don't go to obviously dark corners, etc. And it's almost like stating the obvious, right? You wouldn't go out to a risky place. So if the app allows you to find events, if it seems dodgy, just don't go, right? We had this idea when we wanted to push it, where we wanted to have kind of guardians, right? Who are hikers, who are very reliable and who are present at these events, like a guardian angel who are at these events. And if you've got an issue, there's a panic button on the app, and the guardians around you can come and check out on you. Yeah, well, what's going on? How are you, etc. But that's another rabbit hole that's pretty difficult to go to, and we haven't explored it further. So right now we've left it in the air that, yeah, risks are there already in the world, and we're not creating more risks. People can tomorrow go to some dodgy place and bad stuff happen. So it's in the air. The launch strategy, we're going for Melbourne and Switzerland. Melbourne, because my mates are over there. We're effectively targeting Fitzroy area because it's very, party kind of thing. I keep telling them it's not only about party. I want, daily events. You can go for a hike, you can go for a cycle, you can go for climbing, whatever. And that's probably what I'm going to focus on more in Switzerland. And regarding events, honestly, we're pretty proficient with AI, and it's not that expensive to populate events in an area using an agent that would go scrape and get all the events that are already available there and just gathers them on the map. So we have this power today with not too much money to actually open anywhere and have already plenty of events. But our strategy is Melbourne and Switzerland. Yeah.
Thank you, Bertrand. I have some questions here, but Sabine, let's go.
Cool. Bertrand, I love this idea. I think it's really cool. And I think that, just listening to all the questions, I think they are very relevant. Having worked with startups for many years now, one of the things that we can really get lost in is kind of make it perfect before we start. And so in terms of where you're at right now, if I were your coach or if I were in your position, I would probably go and validate through connecting with actual groups on the ground and starting. So go to a cycling club or a running club, or just see who you can collaborate on the ground and just start, because you can say what your USP is, you can tell what the safety precautions are and whatever, but until you start, your audience is actually going to tell you what they want as you deliver it. And that's gold. So what you do is you go and have conversations with people on the ground in Melbourne, and you say, maybe you go to a university, or you go to, just think about, make a list of a whole bunch of collaborators that you can connect with. Go and say, would you be interested in it? Start it, exactly like you said, and then have a way to get their feedback, but actual words that they're using, because those words are going to be gold for you to then go and market it as you continue the release. And when people give you that feedback, you're going to be going, I really like this. Like, I had no idea that I was going to take my business in the direction that it's going. And some days it goes like that. And then another, because people will give you people with you. What's amazing about what you've got is that you can apply it in so many different areas. But at the same time, when you start a proper marketing campaign, when you're using funnels, or you're using flyers, or whatever it is that you decide to use, you have to have a specific audience that you're going to go for a specific problem that you solve. And so it would be like, are you struggling with, so when you're going out and you're doing your research and you're connecting with potential collaborators, you need to identify the problems that you're solving so that you can see, well, which is the most common problem that this app is solving? What do people want it the most for? So that you can identify the lowest hanging fruit and then decide on who you're going to market to. But I think just before even getting too complex and too much like extra features and preparation, just go in field and just go and start, and you'll figure it out as you go, because that's just the way that it operates, you know, and your audience will tell you what they want, what they'd like, what they're afraid of. I mean, yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you, Sabine. Thank you for feedback. Paula, come back.
Many thanks, Renata. One thought, I was just thinking with the security aspect, people might feel, particularly women, might feel a lot safer if, why don't you piggyback on validating who's who? So a lot of people, for example, have a LinkedIn account. So if someone wants to sign up and say, hey, no, my name really is Paula Allen, how do I prove it to you? So maybe I give you, you take a scan of a driver's license or a passport, or maybe I point to my LinkedIn, and the photo is going to have to look relatively similar, hopefully. You know, just think of ways that if someone doesn't know your app terribly well, or doesn't know the people that are in your city or whatever, what is it that makes them feel safe? Well, I think if something happens, these people are traceable. They're all going to know they're traceable. So I feel like I'm going to be safer using your service.
Okay, thanks.
That's a very good. So I'm just going to read through here some of the questions on the chat before I go with my question, which is Paula actually suggested, instead of make friends, keep friends, is make friends in real life. It's not a bad suggestion, actually. It's a
Yeah, it's good.
Good one.
Thank you.
Emma here. I want to go to a concert, but I don't want to go with a group of 18-year-olds. I want to go with a group of 30 plus. Can I see the ages, people attending the events? And the other one is, you can't be everything to everyone. So have 3 to 5 personas that you create and identify how you can meet their needs. So on that point, I'm going to give you a few things, food for thoughts. The first one is, you told that you're going to start in Switzerland and Melbourne. Even from my experience that I had living in Melbourne, making friends in Melbourne, if you don't have friends, is not easy. Right? And you were there as well, especially if you are from a different country, right? If you're not Australian, born and raised in Australia. So just remember of the flavor of each culture when you are launching your app in different countries, because every country will behave differently. Probably if you were to launch this app in Brazil, you'll find a lot of people very easy, because in Brazil, people are warm, they want to get together, they want to make friends, they love to meet people from other cultures. You know, they will invite for Christmas, birthdays, and stuff, like in a week. It took me 5 years in Australia to be invited to a Christmas party from somebody's family. 5 years it took me. And it's not that I don't connect with people and don't talk to people. So there is a barrier of, in my perception of being an expat in Australia, and maybe on this point, Alex is also not Australian, right? Alex, you are from Germany, correct? Maybe you can share your experience in that, because it's something that it's not that easy to break through that barrier. And I would just imagine that Switzerland, and this is my imagination and assumption because I had never lived in Switzerland, but for what I already read and know about Switzerland, probably people are very also in their own squares, right? So you are getting the right thing in the right place, because there are places that are very difficult to make friends. So how can you break through that? So working with the locals more than anything. So like Emma suggested, right? Getting some people that are in those two locations that are not expats, that are from there, and ask them, I remember, Bertrand, when I was on the bike, when I just arrived in Australia, and I went next to a guy and I started to talk to him, and he straight away asked me where I was from because of he could see my English wasn't my first language. And then I don't know what I said to him about making friends, and he told me, I don't need more friends. I already have my friends. Saying, it's all good to talk to you here, but that's all it's gonna happen. I'm not gonna invite you to have a coffee, maybe this is not a reflection from everybody because I have a lot of Australian friends here in this call even, but it takes time to build that trust. And that goes back into the safety component, I think, especially in Australia and in Melbourne. I think it's huge component on that. And my last point is, even from my experience with Rekonnekt, because you are creating something that is new, but it's not something that never existed before, right? It's just something that has your flavor. So I think that because nobody knows about hike.com, people have to know your reasons behind, has to know the founder, who you are, and why would I join this? So your personal story and your journey is very important for people to feel connected with this, because otherwise they say, why would I call with hike.com? I go to Eventbrite or a meetup. But the difference is that Eventbrite and Meetup are already corporations, they're already businesses, they sold millions, they have where this is you connecting to a personal cause, which you may get a niche just from that. People that are going to buy Bertrand. And then slowly, as you grow a step at a time, things are going to show the way and you're going to get bigger and things are going to develop, right? But it's very important to don't hide yourself from this, especially when you're starting something, because the founder in this position, I think it's one of the biggest assets that you have. Your story, your passion, it's something that that's my suggestion. Denise,
thank you.
Go for it.
I'm wondering if we are trying to mix, like thinking of everyone, or we are really thinking about a specific consumer, okay? I say that because contrary than you, Renata, I don't think it is for everyone would work in Brazil because everybody's friends of everybody. But now, having lived in Geneva for 10 years, I know that it was very, very difficult to meet people. So in the end, through friends, and then getting friends of friends, like everybody single, everybody kind of expat, or, we all got like a group of like doing wine tastings and like something that unite, like wine tastings, like blind tastings and things like that. We end up being friends. Now, one is in France, I'm in Barcelona, the other one is Switzerland, the other one is Japan. But we all, like Bertrand said, it's like we meet, but we kept like 10 years after, we kept the friendship. So I wonder if, again, it's a specific type of consumer need, like that you feel alone and that you want to connect, but not necessarily to date anyone, as opposed to, are we thinking about like everyone? If you are thinking about everyone, like Bertrand said, it's like we have life is busy, we have so many activities, the family, blah, 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 blah. But if you are thinking about specific situation, even like people here in Barcelona is like a very busy city with, there are lonely people here. So that would like to connect and make friends. I don't know, just to food for thought.
That's awesome, Dip. Alex, go for it.
Yeah, just a few thanks, guys, and I agree, a great idea. Just quickly ticking off a few points that came up. So one, Renata said about your own personal story, and I think the benefit of that is you want to generate a bit of trust in your app, because we talked about safety and all these sort of things, and somehow I think you don't want to. It's not just about you, but you have your reasons for coming up with the idea in the first place. So generating a bit of trust. There's real people behind this. This is not an idea, I don't know, WhatsApp had or Meta had or someone. So that may be a little bit helpful in that regard. And just another quick point on safety. I personally would probably stick with the over 18 thing. You save yourself a lot of trouble. As you know, your Melbourne friends would know, obviously Australia's just introduced laws anywhere around social media for under 16-year-olds. I personally would say for starting a business, it's easy to stay away from all that trouble, but just sticking with 18 plus for the moment. It's still difficult enough to get people to trust it, and in particular women, and the whole safety aspect. So I personally wouldn't complicate it by making it accessible for people under 18. My main comment, though, was going to be on the whole personas are a great idea, and until a couple of years ago, I had no idea what marketing people meant when they talked about creating personas. But I think it's an important thing. But it's not. I think it's not just about age or what type of events they want or what their interests are. I think it comes back to identifying what your app is about, and because you don't want to be dating app, so it's a personas of who is interested in finding friends or people interested in a topic. They don't need to be lifelong friends. They may have a particular interest, hiking, I don't know, old cars, whatever it may be, where they go, I wouldn't mind every once in a while meeting people who share this interest. They don't have to become my best buddy. I don't have to invite them to my family Christmas party next year, but I want to meet people who share that interest. Other people may say, I want to meet someone because I'm new in the city. So I think that working out a few personas to work at what are 2, 3, 4, 5 key reasons to use your app to find that. And that'll then, I think, keep away people who want to go and have wild parties, or who think it's another way to date people, because you don't want to be that. And that's part of, I think, what maybe your differentiation from others is. And that's where these personas may help. Why are these type of people wanting to go on the app, and what are we offering for them? And otherwise, good luck with it.
Alex. Thanks.
Fantastic. Bertrand, today your mind's gonna, but that's the idea, huh? Emma, go for it.
Alex's point has just raised something interesting. The concept of friends versus acquaintances or meeting people. So you spoke before about, a lady who's coming to town for a conference, right? And she wants to, I don't know, meet people after the conference. So that's a very transactional. I'm going to somewhere for an event. I want to meet people during that event, and then I'm leaving. So I'm not looking for friends. I'm looking for people who I can go out with, and then I go back to back to the USP at the beginning, and Paula's point about, make friends in real life. Do I actually want to make friends? Is this an app that I'm going to make friends for real, or is this somewhere where I'm going to meet people? And so the concept of meeting people versus making friends, I think, are actually two very different motivators. Yeah, I'm looking for friends that I'm going to have. Your example of moving and finding it very hard, and I know we've had similar experiences moving as well, and it is hard to meet people. But I'm also of the mindset, I don't need any more friends. Like, you can kind of go, I don't need any more friends, but if I want to go to Amsterdam and for a conference, I'd like to go and meet some people who've got similar interests to me and explore the city. But then I'm going to leave and I'm coming back to my home. So yeah, it's an interesting one. A friend versus I don't want to say acquaintance, because that kind of sounds cheesy, but you're going to have, again, different kind of people who are going to be using the app. So be careful how that marries into how you pitch it and position it.
Very good. Chris.
Hey, Bertrand. I love it. And it's, when you put yourself on a pedestal like this, it does feel like we're all sort of chipping away like like birds at the feed. But it's a great idea, and I started something here in the UK purely out of my own interest, and that was when I landed back in the UK. Even though I'm from here, I was away for 11 years, very lonely in a city that I didn't know anyone. I've got no connection, no network, no friends. So
Hello.
Hello.
Good.
Was that me?
Sorry,
I don't know.
No.
I don't know how much you heard.
Nothing. Like, you just said pedestal and then it froze, and I was like, no. So I didn't get anything.
No.
He's there taking phonetically. You got the recording stuff. Go.
Yeah.
But I'll putting yourself on a pedestal is it's confrontational, but well done you. So I come back to the UK 11 years in Australia, and landed in a city where I don't know anyone. I don't have any friends. We come back here because of my wife's parents. So that gap in my, exactly what you're talking about with Hike, I started something called Man Walk, and it's getting a bunch of blokes, and the topic or the theme is to walk, talk, and support. So it's not a mental health thing per se. So what I've done now is get a bunch of blokes, random blokes that turn up in the city they all live in, and we walk around a lake every Friday morning. However, what that's done is because of that exclusivity and that scarcity piece, we now get, well, can only blokes come? So no, you can, but now they bring their dogs. Then we've got some people who, women who are in the business community that would love to come for a walk on a Friday morning. And it's not exclusive to men, but it's for men. And then there was this piece, well, is it now a safe space for women to come in, even though it's just blokes? And we had to sort of balance that conversation and that piece. But it was about a very specific audience first, and then it was the social sort of outcry from there about what it is, what happens. And that's why I loved your little TikTok piece. You know, I'd love to know what great experiences, what human experiences occur at a hike event. I'd love to get, not you because you're the founder, but definitely this knock on, this cascading effect of, oh, okay, yeah, cool. I'd like a bit of that. I'm missing something in my life. And I think most of us here in the room today have moved cities and we've moved across the planet. And I absolutely see what you're trying to achieve. So well done, you.
Thanks.
Right, I'll finish there.
Sorry. Do you wanna ask Chris the question around the women audience? I think that's a good one. There is some few questions on the chat, Bertrand, I will share with you after, okay? But this is a good one that Chris put in there. Maybe do you wanna read for him? Chris.
Yeah, sure. I just put are you on about the women perspective? Is that the piece?
Yes.
Yeah. So I just noticed you've got 3 men, and I'm going through this myself on my little adventure. So you mentioned something, Bertrand, and I'm just going to say this out loud. Please bear with me. But you said, well, if it looks dodgy, just don't go. And that's a very can I say it? I'm just going to say it. That's a very blokey thing to say, right? It's, you know, just, you know, if it looks dodgy, we'll have a button, don't go. And I just thought maybe it would be great to have a different perspective on the board, the panel, the think tank, the confidants, the 3 of you in the background, just to get what are the signals that women require to be able to turn up to an event on their own as a single parent with a child. I would challenge, if that's my audience, then I would start to really dig into what are the signals for that audience to turn up to an event on their own with their child, which has already been said a few times, I think.
I think the point from Paula to maybe when they log in into the app, have some sort of document or proof of maybe can already help a little bit. It's a little bit like that app that you hire cars, not Uber, that you hire your car to people, right? I forgot the name now. And Turo, I think it is. Yeah, Turo, right? That in order for you to put your car there, or in order for people to rent your car, most importantly, they have to put there the drive license, but it's still you're not still safe of nothing happens. I have a friend that he got his car at Turo. A guy put a fake. There will always be, right, a human that is not wanting to do the good, right? And now ended being a drug dealer, and he found his car all full of drugs in a parking lot in Melbourne, and it was so on the back of that, Turo in case has insurance for cars. But I think that having some sort of compliance to join will be important, not so random, right, of just logging in. And so that's something that you have to think about it.
Maybe take inspiration from Uber, because I mean, you feel safe going in a stranger's car, right? And that's a lot more risky than going to an event. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, you go to someone you don't know's car, what can happen? Lots can happen. So yeah, I'll take inspiration from Uber, see how, I can find that.
So Bertrand, as we are hitting the hour here, I would like to ask you something. What do you think are your calls to action? Is what you have to think for a next step so you can keep moving forward after this brain?
So from everything I got there, definitely keep going with the 18 plus. That's good. But yeah, finding the niche, finding the personas. So cycling events, I'm really into sports, and that's why I think I'd like to focus on this. But there's the nightlife as well. But you know, if you go with sport, then the safety takes care of itself as well. So going out there and meeting more people, just like I don't know if it's Emma who said that, or no, it wasn't Emma, it was Denise, right? Sorry, I forgot she's gone. Where is she? Oh, she's gone.
Did I
Was
say something?
Sabine. Yeah,
No,
Sabine.
Sabine,
So yes,
Sabine.
going and connecting with the people. I've done it with the students, etc., but I sort of let it slide because there's so much to do. But I'm gonna get back on the field and try and find the people, find the audience, the niche, the people who are gonna go for the app. And in terms of marketing, open to everyone or just go with scarcity, I still don't know.
I think this is something that you have to talk with your other co-founders, but I think that's the general feedback from the group here is for you to actually open it, especially if you need volume. Because after you gate by giving more specifics, so for you to get a next layer of something, you have then to pay or be different. But in this testing phase, it was also a feedback that I had for what I was doing with Rekonnekt here with all of these is like, you have to let people know what you're doing first. Connect with your purpose, connect with the call, connect with this first. Once they feel they are part of it, everything will follow, right? You don't put pressure so much in selecting the people, especially in the beginning that people don't know you. I think that's my feedback. If anybody has something to add on that, it would be good for him. What else? Keep going. So it's the +18, finding the persona, connect with the people. I not totally agree that because it's a sport event, safety, take care of yourself. There's a lot of weirdos doing sport. Okay, just so you know.
Okay. All right.
Yes. Marketing, it's a decision you have to make with your co-founders, of course. What else? Is anything else?
Yeah, more secure around the ID. Like go and find out what are the signals that allow women, because they are part of our audience. I mean, I do believe in friendship between men and women, etc., etc. So what would make them feel safer? Because I didn't know actually until I went on and asked the real questions to women, how unsafe women actually feel in the world today. It's kind of scary actually, but yeah, I want to do something about that too. Yeah.
That's awesome. So our next step here is I would do this group on the Rekonnekt community, and would be good for you to put the points that you are progressing on. So this can keep you accountable to move forward. And as you discover one step, it will open for the next one. And maybe we organize another mastermind with you in a few weeks, so you can give us some progress, right? So you feel that you're moving forward. Not just feel, you will be moving forward. Do you have any plan on when do you want to do the launch?
Yeah, I feel like I've been saying this forever, but next week would be great.
So would you think you're ready to go for it?
I've been ready for weeks, and we always find something more that has to be done before we can launch, before we can launch, before we can launch. So if I want to be realistic, I'd say in March we want to be live. That's what I feel.
Perfect. So we're gonna keep you accountable on that.
Yeah.
Legends, thank you so much. I think this session was very valuable for everybody. I think it's some, this brainstorming is so important. If you have a business, if you don't have a business, if you just have a role, if you want to go to the next step, if you have a challenge, this is a very good opportunity for us to share and get some fresh ideas. And the more we do from this, more people are going to come. And also, when you want to share your idea or what you're doing, you can ask me, you can tell me who you would like to be on the call. And I try to find, even outside of the Rekonnekt network, if I have people, I will ask other people if they can join and come and help. So then we can make this stronger. And I love everybody participation. Thank you so much.